Like Jason said, I am pretty busy, and I think we all could say that too. So I think having your schedule like organized is extremely important. And so we titled this schedule game on point because I think that's the most important, even though I really wanted to do it like Daniel and Cami Daly's schedule, like a little name pun. But anyway, all right. Could you go to the next slide, Daniel? So everyone here, um, who here, raise your hand or type in the chat and say yes if you feel like you're busy, like life's coming at you, like there's stuff going on, you can't quite keep it all straight. Yeah. So next, type yes or no if you have a schedule that you actually use.
Actually type yes or no in the chat. We want to see,
Yes.
we want to see where everybody's at. We're not looking at you specifically, but it's good to see.
No, they're coming in too fast. I can't single anyone out. So yeah, we got people that have a schedule that they actually use. And then if you want to go to the next one. So if so, type in quick, where do you keep track of your schedule? And go ahead and open that schedule if you have it near you, whether that's a planner, your Google Calendar, see a couple Google Calendars, yeah, your phone calendar. Go ahead and get that out and ready because you might hear some tips or get a piece of notes so that way you can take stuff, write stuff down that you want to implement. All right. Okay, so it is almost summertime. Weather's getting warmer, although it was warm last week and then it got colder. And so that was kind of annoying, but it's almost summertime. So a lot of us are college students. We're getting into exams, which is very, very heavy. So in the beginning of the semester, everyone gets a syllabus and there are tons of assignments on there. And then you get to the end of the semester and you're like, I don't know when my exams are. Or I was in class today with my friend Alexis, who's on my team. We have a class together. All of a sudden, she found out that she has 4 exams within 2 days. And so keeping track of all this stuff is very, very challenging and can be overwhelming. So at the end of the semester, it's a lot easier to actually see how many assignments you have left because there's not just so many sitting out there. And so the things you should know at this point in the semester is when are all of your classes done? Like the day that classes end. Some classes, if they're labs, they get out slightly earlier. And then you should also know when all of your final exams are for that finals week. And then you should also, yeah. And then I'm going to let Daniel take over the next ones.
So for right now, like take this time. Like if you don't know when your exams are, go to your Canvas, go to your planner. If you're not in school, take a look at your actual calendar, like see what things you have coming up. So like at this moment, you should know at this point in the semester, at this point of the year, right? Whatever's coming up next, you should know when everything is, right? Also, the other things that you want to know are just what you're doing that is big, like really big for April and May, right? That's going to put you out of homework, out of demos, out of the office, right? If you will. What are like the big things? Like things that are going to take the whole day. Things that are like multiple days. If you're going somewhere, you're sleeping overnight. I know one thing I did in college was I visited my friends at other colleges. Like when are those weekends? Do you have any trips that are coming up? When are your trips? So I think it's really valuable for you guys to even just be considering this when thinking about your schedule, because just even planning just helps a ton. Cordell, you're foreshadowing. So what do you got? What do you got going on? Find your exams. You can save some time now. You don't have to do all of your assignments, but when are your exams? Like what days are they? Write the dates and times. If there's like a room, they already have your room. I know a lot of times it's like TBD for what room your exam is in. Find the exact room that it's going to be in. Anything that you do now in terms of planning. There we go, Sierra. saves time that you have to worry in the future, right? When it is exam time and you're like staying up until 4 a.m., cramming because you didn't plan, which you should have, cramming, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've done it before. I've woken up. I'm like, dude, I don't even know where my exam is. So I'll give you guys like a little bit of time here just to figure it out. Or just look at some of the big events. So a big thing that you guys should have in your schedule, which it might seem counterintuitive, is me time. How many of you guys procrastinate? You can raise your hand or you can barely not raise your hand because I know you all do. Procrastination sucks. When you have me time in your schedule, it almost like fulfills it, right? Subconsciously, it gives you that feeling of like, well, I spent some time like doing something for me that maybe necessarily wasn't productive, but I got to spend that. So then the time that is productive is even more productive. So it's way more important than you think to actually plan it. Like do it, try it this week, even this vector work week between now and next Wednesday. When are you going to schedule yourself me time? If you plan it, you can like feel good about actually doing it. How many times have you guys been doing something that's like fun? It's not like a productive time. It's like your enjoyment time, your personal time. But you're like in the back of your head, you're like, I got that exam coming up. I should be studying for it. You don't have those feelings when you schedule your me time, right? This can be whatever it is that you want for yourself. And then I know one thing that I've noticed, Cami, since you started here is just that actual thing. What does me time look like for you, and like why is it important?
For me, I can have an extroverted personality, but a lot of times I'm very introverted and I need to just sit, and whether that's for me like journaling or reading my Bible or listening to music, I just need to relax and be alone sometimes. Also, it can look like hanging out with friends, like events with friends, like whatever that may be. But yeah, it's just simple time alone. And I think like this weekend, you'll see here in a second, but this weekend I'm going to a concert with my friends and I have it scheduled into my Google Calendar. And so like that time's in there. I know what I'm going to be doing during that time. I don't have to think about it. And it's time that's going to be rewarding to me and I'm going to enjoy it without having to think about all my responsibilities. So yeah, putting me time into your Google Calendar is, or whatever calendar you use, but I personally really like Google Calendar, which you'll see in a second. I think is super, super beneficial. And then I am going to go ahead and share my screen quick, transfer it over. So me time. Oh, Google Calendar. It's important. And so next we're going to talk about Google Calendar and personally why I like it so much. So a couple points here is to learn to hate white space. And I'm going to show you guys my schedule here. And if you guys aren't used to using it, I know for me, looking at someone's initially was kind of overwhelming. But then once you actually dig into it, because you see all these things listed, once you actually dig into it, it makes your life 10 times simpler. So here, this is my Google Calendar as of right now. You can see I have a lot of stuff to do. I have soccer in the mornings. Now we have to be at the locker room at 5:25. So I got to get up by 4:30 in the morning, which sucks. So I need to know when I'm going to go to bed. So that way I'm taking care of myself. And yeah, I mean, think about this, you guys. I have all this stuff listed out. That clears up so much space in my head. Like I don't have to think about where I'm going. Like this meeting right here, it was unique. I wrote down where exactly it is, what time, where I need to be. I don't have to think about that and then go, because I'm sure we've all had those, oh shoot, I had a meeting, or oh shoot, I had this. And so I don't have to do that. And move that. And then what else? Oh, it's a live record and archive on everything. So I'll get into that in a second here, but I want to go through a couple other things first. Another reason why I like it so much is, like I said, you see where you got to be when, and with the iPhone, I don't know if it's like this for the Samsung, but you can actually have a widget on your phone. So it pops up and it updates for you. And I think it looks really nice and I love it. And yeah, it's like right on my phone. Things can also be color coded. So you can see here, we were talking about exams and stuff at this point in the year. That stuff is so important. And so like you can see, I have a French exam, which I color coded as a darker red this Friday. And then I don't have any exams the week after, but then I have 2 exams on the Monday. So I can just kind of scroll through the next couple weeks to see if I know that I have anything coming up, because at the beginning of the year, and it's never too late to do this, I took track, I went into my syllabus and I looked at when all of my stuff was. I also have towards the end, I know exactly when my classes end, and I already have my finals written in there. Whoops, went too far. It's delayed because of the screen sharing, but I already know when my finals are. Don't have to think about it. So yeah, that's really nice. You can also have recurring events. It's super easy. Like right before this, because I was like, oh shoot, my Google Calendar isn't updated and I need to talk about it because my sleep wasn't updated because they're not all perfect. I went in and I changed my sleep schedule, and it's super easy. Like if say I wanted to make sure I had like, I don't know, I had a meeting every week, just add it. And then you click on here, does not repeat. And then you can even customize it to what days, when, and I scheduled, when I scheduled all my classes, I said to end on the last day of school. So it was super easy. And then let's see here. So yeah, team meetings, phone jams, any date nights that you want to have on there, classes, morning and wake up. Like I know Daniel has a really good morning routine in there in his Google Calendar, because if any of you guys have ever heard of the book Miracle Morning, morning is a crucial part to your day. Like if you can start off and wake up like an hour earlier or whatever it is, and journal and have time to yourself and reflect, like you start off your day on such a good note. So what is important to you? Bed alarm, I have that on there. I have notifications that pop up on my phone when I gotta do stuff. Yeah, it vector impact, it syncs. And you guys want to know what's also cool? I don't know if any of you guys travel, but when we're talking about spring break plans, this is last week or 2 weeks ago, I flew to North Carolina, and my email put in there, my flight automatically updated. How sick is that? Yeah, and so deadline goals, anything like that. I have a couple dates that I want to go to just show you guys how cool this dang thing is. So here I have June 24th this week. You can put open demo slots in there. Like I didn't fill in all of these demos, but imagine if I did. Like, and this isn't specifically towards work, but like imagine if I did. Now I know exactly what times I have available. I can call Mrs. Jones. I have the times listed right there. And then whenever I have a demo, I can do that and book it right there. Then this weekend, my friend was getting back from basic training. And then where's this week? Where did it go? Oh, I'm in July. That's why. So this weekend, my friend was getting back from basic training, and then just a little teaser for back what Jason was just talking about with the PR prizes. I was going skydiving that night. How sick was that? I was so excited when I put that on my Google Calendar. And then I have another one for this week. So this slide, super overwhelming, right? I had an extremely busy week. And I remember talking on the phone with Daniel, and I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have time for anything. And then he told me to sit down for like 20 minutes. And I literally planned out every second of my day, and it looked super overwhelming. But like, I have like wake up, go to like make sure I eat and go to class. What all do I have? I'm gonna study during this time, planned out my studying so I could focus. And then I was eating, getting ready. Oh, and you can see I made it fun. I said I'm gonna skip to go eat, and then I'm gonna strut to lifting. I don't know. I did that. But needless to say, I knew exactly what I had going on. I had my periods to study because I had a bunch of exams, and I was focused. Like that was my time. And so not every week has to look like that, but that week I was particularly overwhelmed with what I had going on. So I super strategically planned it all out. You can put birthdays in there, whatever. I like can't talk about it enough. I talk about to all my friends about how I love Google Calendar. Whenever they ask me to do something, I'm like, I don't know when I'm free. I don't keep track of that. It's all on my phone. And so yeah. So Google Calendar, it's awesome. And then I'm gonna hand it back to Daniel to talk about his little fun analogy.
Oh, I'm muted. Okay. So I love this quote. Guys, get a fresh sheet of paper or just type it in your notes or type it on your computer. I don't care where you put it, but I want you guys to have like specific things for each of these categories. This quote is really cool, and you kind of have to think about it for a second, but work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. That means if you set aside a certain amount of time to do something, you're probably going to complete it in that time. Now, obviously, the haters are like, yeah, but what if something takes longer than what I planned for? Yes, obviously there are exceptions. It's a mindset, right? I can't tell you, and I bet you guys did it too, how many times I finished a 25-page paper, that's an exaggeration, in the last hour before it was due, right? Or finishing assignments in class before you got to hand it in. Think back to high school. Yeah, we all did that. We could complete them in that time. But if we give ourselves all this time to do it, we're probably going to fill that time, right? If you're like, I'm going to go to the library for 2 hours and I'm going to complete this, you're going to be focused on it and you're going to complete it in that time. So I'm sure you guys have heard this analogy. Look at the pictures on the right. The top is if you put your want tos and your should do's, if you put those in first. If you play Xbox longer than you were supposed to, that's putting your little rocks in first. But the bottom slide is if you put the important things in, the rocks and the pebbles, the things that you have to do and then you need to do, and then you fill in, and then you put in the pebbles or the sand, right? I think you guys understand it. The picture doesn't go exactly with the text. But if you look at that jar on the bottom right, you could still probably pour some water in there and more things would fit. Right? I think of Elon Musk and the time that he has. It's the exact same amount of daylight, the exact same amount of time in a day that we do. So what are the things? Write them down. Type them. I don't care where you put them, but actually write them down right now. What are the things that you have to do? These are going to be times that are specific, and there's going to be immediate negative consequences if you don't do it. If you get really good at your calendar, shower would be one of these. Brushing your teeth. Well, I guess those are need tos because you can do those whenever. But there will be negative consequences, and they're going to be fast, immediate consequences. My biggest tip for anybody that's in college: have no late assignments. Have no late assignments, and you'll probably graduate. So what are they? What are the immediate negative consequences? What are the have tos? And if a couple people could just give me like a got it in the chat. Rachel, you're really good at that. Just give me a got it. Give me a got it in the chat when I know that you're done there. Wait for There we go. Got her, Otter. All right, now think of like one or two more, whoever's got it, because there's probably a couple more things that you didn't think of. Give it an extra second. Give it an extra thought. Jason's giving some good ones. Cleaning, groceries. Okay, so now what are the things that you need to do? What are the things that you need to do? I'm sure some of you that are overachievers are already going through the other categories here. But need tos are the pebbles, they're the smaller rocks. Right? Those are the ones that you can do whenever, right? Like homework. Homework, I used to do homework. If you ask Jason when you should do homework, he says 9 to 5, like high school. If you're anything like me in college, I did it from 2 a.m. or from midnight to 3 a.m. Probably because I put the want tos in first. And you know what sacrificed because of that? My sleep. You know what sacrificed because of that? My attitude and probably my roommates. So I was cranky. But more myself too, because then I was just annoyed. I was tired and just cranky all day. All right, so now these are the things that you should do. They don't have a specific time, and they don't have consequences. They don't have immediate negative consequences. This is probably most of the Cutco stuff. If you guys are dedicated and you prioritize work, which with this job, hey, you don't have to. But if you do, and you want to prioritize work, and you value investing, and you value income, and you value graduating debt-free, maybe Cutco stuff would be have tos or need tos. When I realized that I wanted to do Cutco after college, I prioritized Cutco over school. Not saying at all that you should do that. But your should do's, if you're like, I'm focusing on school, I'm going to do really well, doing Cutco part-time, that's your phoning, right? Phoning is, there's not going to be negative consequences. Yeah, maybe your bank account might hurt a little bit, or you won't make as much money because you're not working. And you don't have to do it at a specific time. You can do it whenever. What about next week's homework? Getting ahead of class. Personal, physical, spiritual development. I'm going to go over that in just a second here. And then it's the want tos. Actually write these things down. What are the things that you want to do this week? Today is March 30th. Next week, Wednesday, will be April 6th. What do you want to do between March 30th and April 6th? When you feel like you're done, I want you to write 4 numbers separated with a comma and how many things you put into each of the categories. Have to, need to, should do, want to. So it could just be like 5, 5, 5, 5. Probably won't be like that, but just put in the numbers.
Baby squirrel use a sexy motherfucker.
There can be some great things that you guys hear, but if you don't actually implement them, it's going to go in one ear, right out the other. Give me a done in all caps when you're finished putting things into your schedule. If you have something written down on a list that you just wrote, but it's not into your schedule, might not happen. Laura's got calendar done. Sierra joins her. Then another thing I'll say just here, because I didn't expect you guys to all be done with your calendars this quick. My coach always used to say when we had runs that we were supposed to do on our own, not in practice, you can lie to your coach, but you can't lie to yourself. If you guys don't actually have your stuff, if you don't have all your exams, if you don't have your vacations, your want tos, have tos, should dos, it's not going to bother me much. Not going to bother me at all, actually. Maybe a little. It might be a little. All right. Last thing here. Pause music. I encourage you to take a picture of this slide. I'm sure I could somebody could give a whole talk on this slide, but with the white space in your calendar, right? Maybe you're somebody that's like, I basically just work and I don't do a whole lot else, you know? Don't really have a lot of friends. You have friends, but maybe you just don't know what to do with your time, right? And there's white space in your calendar. That's awesome. I wish I had way more white space in my calendar. I really, really do. I wish there was an 8th day of every week. Focus on, look at these categories here: career, financial, spiritual, physical, intellectual, family, and social. Give yourself a rank on each of these. You don't have to do this now. That's why I said take a picture of it, because we're not going to get into it. But take a picture and give yourself a ranking. You could even, I just found this picture on Google. I think I just typed in like personal growth something wheel, right? You could even shade it in on where you ranked yourself 1 in 10, just like how that aspect of your life is going, right? And if it's like a low number and you want to bump up that number, that's what you can do with your white space. Read a book, call your mom. I don't know, learn something, talk to God, read the Bible, work out, do more demos, make more phone calls. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. I hope you even just worked on your schedule and planned for the next couple months here. Because really, when you can plan, it's really easy to see where you can do demos and how to just make things a lot more fun. And get a Google Calendar if you don't. I know you might have it, but use it. Use your Google Calendar. Fill it up. No white space. All right, that's all I got.
Awesome. Give him some love. Wow, that was awesome. Thank you, Cami. Thank you, Daniel. That was really good. And posted in GroupMe. All right. So I hope you guys got a lot out of that. I'd love to hear from 1, 2, or 3 of you. And like, what was your biggest takeaway or like aha that you, just to also show some love to Daniel and Cami, that they brought the value. And a little bonus tip, while you guys were thinking of that, you know, from 1, 2, or 3 of you here, that I love what Laura said. It is important to pick, like, to redo this, right? This is the setup, but you can do this. Like, think about how much better you feel now and how more refreshed you are knowing I got the whole week, maybe even a whole month kind of set up ahead of me. But what really good planners do is they'll, like, before each month do the planning, before each week, make some adjustments, and at the beginning of every day, make some adjustments. So I definitely put in like a good chunk, 30-minute, 60-minute chunk on like a Sunday or Monday to set up your week and do this. So great reminder, Laura. Yeah, it was really good. So go ahead, raise your virtual hand. Let's hear from 1, 2, or 3 of you. What was your biggest takeaway or favorite tip that was shared? So go to Sierra and then Laura. So go ahead, Sierra.
All right, for me, I have 3 calendars that I have to use because I have one for myself, one for the person I live with, and then one that's like kind of a family calendar for stuff that we do together. So what was really a big thing for me is I mostly have, like you said, I take every time in the beginning of the month on the first of the month, then it doesn't get slacked off. And I take like an hour and I plan out my whole schedule. And then every week I usually take about 20 minutes